before time was measured in clocks and calendars, there lived a warrior in the thick green heart of what we now call Nigeria. A man so fierce, so unbreakable, they called him the Leopard of Irele. His name, Oluwaseyi Omotade, and his legend, it still whispers through the forests, carried by the winds, like the scent of rain. Seyi was not born into greatness. He was the last son of a palm tapper and a quiet weaver in the village of Irele, deep in the lands of the old Oyo Empire. But the stars above him burned with something more, and when he cried his first cry, the village elder leaned close and whispered, "This child will change our bloodline forever." He grew like a flame with no master. At 10, he wrestled boys twice his size. At 12, he could track antelope through the bush with nothing but a carved stick. His eyes missed nothing. His mother said he was touched by Ekun, the god of war and iron. The other children feared him. The elders watched him in silence. And the forest? The forest listened when he passed. Then came the fire. Riders from the north, raiders with faces like stone and hearts like ice. They stormed into Irele on horses that breathed smoke, with blades that sang death. The people ran. The huts burned. And in the chaos, one boy stood still. Not a chief, not a hunter, just a 17-year-old with a handmade spear and a storm behind his eyes. He charged, not with fear, but with fury. They say he killed 7 men before his right arm broke. And when he dropped the spear, he used his fists. When he dropped his fists, he used his teeth. They say even the gods paused to watch. And when the dust finally settled, Seyi still stood, soaked in blood. That was not his. From that day on, he was no longer just Seyi. He became Ekun Irele, the Leopard of Irele. Word of him traveled faster than fire. Kings sent messengers. War chiefs offered gold. But Seyi didn't fight for wealth. I fought for those who had no one else. A lion's courage in a man's skin. His victories piled up like yam harvests. He broke chains, defended borders, and turned terrified boys into fearless warriors. But every great warrior carries wounds we cannot see. He had seen brothers fall. He had heard the wails of mothers. He had buried too many friends with his own hands. His fire began to quiet, and he started walking alone. More often, farther. Then came the final battle. The siege of Oke-Odan. 10 villages trapped, surrounded by death. The invaders had fire-tipped arrows and thunder in their weapons. No army would face them. But one name rose from the silence. One man stepped forward. Oluwaseyi. He gathered farmers, hunters, even children too angry to sit still. They called themselves the Forest Teeth. He trained them like the river trains the rock, with patience and purpose. They struck at night. They vanished by morning. The invaders began to fear the shadows. And when the final dawn came, the enemy fled, defeated by the myth. The leopard, Oluwaseyi, never ruled a throne. He wore no crown, but from Oyo to Ife, from Benin to Idanre, they still sing of him, the warrior who fought not for himself, but for the weak. And one morning, when the sky was soft and the birds sang low, he walked into the forest and never returned. Some say he died. Others say the forest took him home. His footprints are long gone, but the ground still remembers. The trees still bend low where he walked, and the wind still carries his name. Would you have stood with him or run? Remember his name, Ekun Irele, the leopard who walked like a man, but fought like a god. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the refusal to run. Oluwaseyi wasn't born a legend. He was a boy who chose to stand when the world around him fell. In the face of fire and death, he became a shield for the weak. His legacy teaches us that even a single soul, burning with purpose, can change the fate of many. And when we act with courage, we too leave footprints time cannot erase. The story of Ekun Irele reminds us that the spirit of the warrior still lives within us. If this tale lit something in your heart, don't let it fade. Like, comment, share, and tell us in the comments, what will your legacy be? Subscribe for more untold African stories, because the ancestors are still speaking.